KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
UCLA and USC are two of the four number one seeds in the NCAA women's basketball tournament. The other two number one seeds, South Carolina and Texas. First game for UCLA is Friday at Pauley Pavilion against UC San Diego or Southern University. They meet up Wednesday in a play-in game. Southern is one of two HBCU schools in the NCAA women's tournament. The other is Norfolk State. First game for USC is Saturday at noon at the Galen Center against North Carolina Greensboro. UCLA also has a team in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. The Bruins, a number 7 seed in the Midwest Regional, play Utah State Thursday night in Lexington, Kentucky. The Lakers snapped their 4-game losing streak Sunday. They beat Phoenix 106-97. The Clippers are 6-1 in their last 7 games after beating Charlotte 123-88, 31 points and 7 assists for James Harden. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to announce that, like George and Weezy,
we're moving on now.
Earlier this year, we were named as semifinalists for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Wait for it. Wait for it.
You ready?
KBLA Talk 1580 was recently selected as one of 10 finalists being considered for this prestigious award. Hundreds of organizations, institutions, and even cities were nominated in the selection process. But KBLA Talk 1580 has made it to the finals. You're invited to watch live on Wednesday, April 16th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, as Eco America announces the winner and the runner-up, awarding over $200,000 in prize money. To watch live, just go to ecoamerica.org to register and attend the online ceremony. That's ecoamerica.org. Don't miss the presentation of the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025, Wednesday, April 16th, and wish us luck. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavissmileyshow.com. That's thetavissmileyshow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, 2 conversations. Up first, our regular contributor, Ruben Navarrete Jr., on his latest column, wherein he argues that Columbia University protester Mahmoud Khalil earned his legal troubles. Needless to say, I call nonsense, Ruben, on that mess. But we'll let Ruben see what we'll hear his argument nonetheless when we get to the top of hour 2, but I am buying it already. Anyway, on the B side of hour 2, Congresswoman Janelle Bynum on her journey to becoming Oregon's first black member of Congress. Of course, we'll also get her take on the deep division inside the Democratic Party following Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer's 180-degree turn last Friday on supporting that Republican funding bill to avert a government shutdown. It seems today that everybody, as we say in my neighborhood, everybody is mad at Chuck Schumer. everybody except Donald Trump. You saw his post, right, on his true social media platform. Congratulations to Chuck Schumer for doing the right thing. Took guts and courage. Really good and smart move. That's Donald Trump on Chuck Schumer. Congratulations to Chuck Schumer for doing the right thing. Took guts and courage. Really good and smart move. Let me just say this. When Donald Trump is bigging you up, that's all you need to know right there for starters. I ain't one to tell you I told you so, but how many times have you heard me say on this program that Chuck Schumer is not the answer to the prayer in this critical moment? I'm going to digress for now. We're going to get into that a little bit later. In our third hour, since it is St. Patrick's Day, a conversation with Human Rights First Senior Advisor Brian Dooley on his text, Black and Green, the fight for civil rights in Northern Ireland and Black America. We'll also be joined in hour 3 by the legendary Right Reverend Dr. Herbert Daughtry on his trip to Ireland decades ago as National Director of the Black United Front, where and when he also noted the striking similarities between the civil rights movement in the U.S. and in Northern Ireland. I suspect that some of Daughtry's observations will no doubt remind us of what the great abolitionist Frederick Douglass had to say following the 4 months that he spent in Ireland back in 1845, where upon leaving the country, Douglass said, and I quote, "I have undergone a transformation." What is it about Ireland that all these black folk, including Frederick Douglass, think is similar to our struggle for freedom and justice here in the U.S.? We'll talk about it as we celebrate St. Patty's Day in our own way today in our final hour. But in this first hour, let's talk politics with James Zogby, former member of the DNC's Executive Committee and the founder and president of the Arab American Institute. James Zogby, good to have you back, sir. How are you today?
Thank you, Tavis. Just remind me to always hope that Donald Trump never praises me for anything.
There you go.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah, when Donald Trump is patting you on the back and telling you what a great job you've done, you know you are in trouble. Speaking of Donald Trump and Chuck Schumer, let me commence this program today playing some audio from Chuck Schumer. Now, again, he's wrong as two left shoes. We're going to get into that in just a second. But don't take it from me. Here is how Chuck Schumer tried to explain the 180 that he did.
Voting for this CR is bad. It's a whole lot worse to vote to shut down the government. Elon Musk, Doge, and Donald Trump will use the power to shut down the government to fire hundreds of thousands, if not millions of workers, shut down whole departments, and shrink the government for tax cuts for billionaires. It will be devastating, something like we have never seen before. One of the worst things? Courts could run out of money in a few weeks. One of the few refuges we've had to stop the autocratic, vicious proposals of Trump and Musk and Doge have been the courts. And so this shutdown, the idea of a shutdown, is atrocious across the board. We have to stop it. Shutting down the government will be terrible. They could stay in shutdown for weeks, months, even years. And one of the Republican senators just told some of our senators, if you go in shutdown, it's going to be months before we open up the government. And we have no way to stop them. There's no exit ramp. It'll be totally up to them when to open up the government. Shutdowns with autocrats, vicious people, nasty people like Musk and Trump and Doge in charge is disaster for us.
Stop it, Chuck. Just stop it. There's nothing that Chuck Schumer just said that they aren't already doing. Democrats too often are just scared of their own shadow, just scared to get out and fight and draw a line and pull the American people to their side. The real problem here is, I've said to y'all before, that Chuck Schumer is an institutionalist. It's the same thing with Joe Biden, who I like, but Biden oftentimes couldn't get out of his way, his own way, because these guys are products of this system that they've been in for decades. They are institutionalists. And Chuck Schumer just couldn't see his way to making the right decision. He had a moment and he failed miserably. Just getting started unpacking Chuck Schumer. I want to hear what James Zogby, he's a former member of the DNC Executive Committee, not me. I want to know what he thinks about his own party and the infighting. And Democrats are literally just, everybody's mad at Chuck Schumer today, as I think they ought to be. And that's just part of it. You saw this judge ordered the Trump administration to not deport these Venezuelans. They were using some law called the Alien Enemies Act. We'll explain it when we come forward. They were hiding behind this law, and that was their justification for deporting a plane load of Venezuelans immediately. The judge says, stop. That plane does not take off. You are not deporting these Venezuelans. What did Trump do? The plane took off. The Venezuelans were deported. And today, they're not even saying the plane was in the air. I mean, I expect them to say, well, the plane was already in the air when the judge's order came through. No, that ain't what they said. What they have said, the Trump administration has said that the judge, the federal judiciary, has no jurisdiction over the president's conduct on foreign affairs and his power to expel foreign enemies. Here's your first real example of Donald Trump openly defying the judiciary. A judge says don't do it. Trump said, I don't think so. The plane took off, and they're not even backing down on it. You have no authority over us, Trump has said to the judiciary. I'm going to cut James Zogby loose when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From California to the Carolinas, everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. Think about your mentors and idols, the people who inspire you the most. While it may look like they have all the answers, they don't. But they do know when to ask questions and seek the support they need. In a world that glorifies hyper-independence, it's easy to forget that we're all better with a support system. Therapy is a great way to find a consistent source of support in your life, so you can break free from the outdated belief that seeking help is a sign of weakness. BetterHelp has experienced therapists ready to help you with challenges ranging from anxiety and depression to relationships and stress. It's convenient, too. You can join a session with the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. You can even send your therapist a message anytime something comes up. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABCRadio today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ABCRadio.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. With Downy Unstoppables, you just toss, wash, wow, for all-day freshness.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
Two more quick things, and it's all James Zogby's for the rest of the hour. If the plane load of Venezuelans in violation of a federal judge taking off to deport these persons isn't enough, and the Trump administration saying today that the federal judiciary has no authority whatsoever, no jurisdiction over how Trump conducts foreign affairs, or his power to expel foreign enemies, if that's not enough evidence of his absolute violating the judiciary, there is a professor at Brown University. I've told you all a million times that first it's Mahmoud Khalil, then it's going to be everybody else, and they're going to get to us eventually. And we talked last week about all the immigrants in this country who are black, who look just like you and me. They're on the list. They're coming for them. Donald Trump told you a few years ago what he thought of these S-hole countries, as he put it. So in Massachusetts, the Trump administration deported a Lebanese professor at Brown University's medical school. She has a valid visa, and more to the point, a court order temporarily blocked her expulsion, and they deported her anyway. So we got these examples are starting to ratchet up of Trump outright defying the judiciary. I digress for now. James Zogby, I feel like I'm playing Jeopardy right now. Pick something on the board. Where do you want to go first?
Let's start with the question of Schumer and Trump.
Go for it. Go for it.
You use the word institutionalist. Some say cowardice. I use terms like the folks who have been making decisions in the leadership of the Democratic Party and the Democrats in Congress lack imagination, lack a sense of courage, lack a sense of knowing where the electorate is, knowing where their voters are. And the result is that they scare themselves into like Schumer was just saying, this is what's going to happen. Well, the fact is, as you know, it's happening anyway. Mm-hmm. But the question is, do they have a strategy? And I've been waiting for one and thinking about one, but there is no forum. There's no way in the Democratic Party or outside the party to develop such a strategy. And so we're at their mercy, waiting for them to decide, well, maybe we ought to do this or maybe we ought to do that. And right now they're going to go do town halls around the country. Big whoop. Mm-hmm. What's the strategy? What are they going to do with it? And because we're seeing, I was going to say a slow ride to fascism, but we're on the skids right now. We're just sliding downhill. Mm-hmm. And there needs to be a strategy that is equal to the challenge of what they're doing. I frankly don't see that right now, and I worry about where we're going and the fact that we don't have a way to stop it. But there needs to be a massive public outpouring of dissent in the form even of civil disobedience on the part of members of Congress, on the part of leadership in cities around the country. I mean, they are in the process of taking democracy and gutting every aspect of it. We have to be equal to the challenge of what they're doing, and we need leadership for that. We just don't have it right now.
As I said, I am not a former member of the DNC, the Democratic National Committee's Executive Committee. James Zogby is. And again, no naivete in asking this question, but to your point about the Democrats at this moment just not understanding where their voters are, where their base is. Here's my question. Again, no naivete. How can Chuck Schumer be so tone deaf on this? I understand the institutionalist argument. I'm the one who made it. But how can he be so tone deaf? Even Nancy Pelosi encouraged Democrats in the Senate to not stand with Chuck Schumer. Nancy Pelosi went in on Chuck Schumer. So
he probably had 4 or 5 people in the Senate, members, come up to him and say, we got to do this because I'm running for re-election. And John Conyers taught me a long time ago when I said something about members of Congress and the national interest of the United States. It had to do with Israel, Palestine. Mm-hmm. And I said, John, they do nothing to support the national interest of the United States in taking these positions. He laughed and he said, Zogby, what you don't get, and you will, this was back in the early 80s, he said, is that the minute these guys get elected, the national interest of the United States becomes synonymous with their reelection. That's all they think about. Mm. And so, he had maybe 4 members come to him and say, I got a tough race coming up. We can't do this. I got to vote against it, whatever. We got to vote for it. And then he's got the consultants, and the political consultant class are dumb as posts. They really are. I mean, I pardon me for stretching this a bit, but the very same logic that allowed them to deny a Palestinian to speak at the Democratic Convention is at work here. No imagination, still operating by the old, well, if we do this, there'll be a, whatever, and donors will be upset and we'll be in big trouble. And so they end up, and they don't know where their electorate is. Every time the word Palestine was mentioned at the convention, even as an aside, when AOC mentioned it, when Keith Ellison said it, even when Kamala Harris said it, there was a roar from the audience. That's where Democrats are right now, but they're so overly cautious, so unimaginative, so afraid of their own shadows, and still operating with an electorate that is like 40 years old in their minds, that they can't see that you have to do something courageous and smart right now. And so they'll give Trump what he wants because they're afraid next November they'll lose. And you know what? They're going to lose precisely because they do stuff like this, because when voters decide, am I voting for this or voting for that, they're going to say, these guys didn't make a difference. Why the hell should I vote for them? That's the problem we're facing.
You mentioned donors. I've been reading a number of articles and checking in with a number of people over the weekend. My read is, and what I'm hearing, is that the donor class is, in fact, upset with this move Chuck Schumer made. And there are a lot of big-time Democratic donors who have said that if this is the way the Democrats are going to move, if this is the way they're going to show up, if this is the way they're going to bend the knee, if this is how they're going to acquiesce, I am not contributing. So to your point that they were concerned about the donor class when Chuck Schumer made this decision, that ain't how it's playing out, as I'm hearing, James Zogby.
You're right, but they're not the ones that Chuck Schumer's talking to. Look, funny story, if you got a second. Because 88, I was working with Reverend Jackson, and I had the opportunity to present the minority plank on Palestine, 2 states for 2 peoples, at the convention. We had an agreement that I'd present it, and then we'd pull it, and I'd have no vote because I'm afraid that there'd be a division in his own ranks. People weren't ready for it yet. But he felt principled that we had to do it. So I said, fine, that's what I'll do. And the agreement we had with the convention was that we would not say anything disparaging about the other side. I went out and I gave my speech and I said, we've ended the deadly silence. For the first time, we're talking about this issue in a public forum. There was a cheer. People had banners and things, 2 states for 2 people. Reverend Jackson says, blah, blah, blah. It was great. Schumer gets up to do the rebuttal. The last speaker was the most dishonest, the most disingenuous, the most disgrace. And he went on. People started booing so much that Governor Blanchard had to come out and pound the gavel and say, give him respect. And then he went to Schumer and he said, don't do that. Schumer did it again, got the same boos. I didn't know what he was doing. And then when it was over, he came up to me behind the podium and he said, Zogby, you have no idea how much money you helped me raise last night, tonight doing this. And I was like, that's what it was for him. That's all it meant to him. And frankly, this is disgraceful, but this is how we've been operating. The calculation we make is not, is it good? Is it right? Is it smart? Is it what the country needs? Is it what the Constitution requires? The thing is it going to get me votes? Is it going to get me money? And they made, I think, a really stupid judgment on this, giving Trump what he wanted. And it's not only not right, it's stupid, it's against the Constitution, and frankly, they've just surrendered power to somebody who is taking us down the road to fascism.
That is an arresting and damning Chuck Schumer story. I'm glad that James Zogby had the courage, the transparency to just share it, so we know what we're dealing with, as if we didn't know after this 180 he made the other day. Let me press a little more on this. So again, you've been a member of the DNC's executive committee. What say you about the intra-party squabble? Somebody said squabble up. That's what this is. This is a squabble up right about now. What do you make of this intra-party Democratic intifada, if I can use that word? They're going in on each other. Again, when Nancy Pelosi is chin checking Chuck Schumer, that's a real issue. So tell me about how Democrats navigate forward if they're fighting each other on the inside. I mean, I saw AOC's comments. I saw Bernie's comments. I mean, these Democrats, and I don't mean everyday Democrats listening to this program right now, Democratic leaders, Democrats in the establishment are over Chuck Schumer right now. So how does the party advance when they're fighting internally like that?
I think it's good. I mean, that's how you advance.
Yeah.
You advance out of struggle, out of internal struggle, out of self-correction. No internal struggle, no self-correction, no self-correction. We keep doing the same old thing.
Mm-hmm.
The point is, I want the Bernie AOC, Nancy Pelosi. She's welcome to that wing. I want them to win, and the best way to have them win is have voters hear, have them hear from voters that we want a new direction. We want a party that is going to stand up to the challenge. Look, under ordinary circumstances, Chuck Schumer's logic might be right.
Mm-hmm.
If we gave them this, they would take advantage of it and do bad things. No question. I couldn't disagree with that. But we are not in ordinary times.
Mm-hmm.
We are in a situation where we have someone who is moving us in the direction of an authoritarian leadership, an authoritarian system of governance, where he is usurping power not only in the budget, not only in ignoring courts, but he's gutting education. One of the things that I think has not been paid enough attention to, Tavis, is that if you, in the executive order on DEI, he has a thing in there where he talks about not making people feel uncomfortable or guilty or feeling the burden of guilt, is the way history is taught.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that means?
Yeah.
That means no Black history.
That's right.
That means no talking about genocide in Native American people. That means no telling the truth about labor history. That means not telling the truth about women's history. It means not making America great again. It means making America dumb again.
Mm.
It's like bringing us back to where we were in the 1950s when I was in grade school. And history, I used to call our history book From Stone Age Man to Ike. It was Eurocentric history. The Stone Age man, incidentally, was from Europe. That's because, of course, couldn't have the earliest man be from Africa, had to be white. And then you went from there, you went from there to Rome, and then to Greece, then you went to the Holy Roman Empire, then you went to the emergence of the modern nation state and World War I, World War II, and he ended up with America. Everything was great and good, and we were the fulfillment of history. China got mentioned in 2 paragraphs with the Great Wall because it was so big you couldn't ignore it. Arab history was a picture of a pyramid with a guy on a camel in front of it. It looked like an advertisement for Camel cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about Bedouins in the desert needing to move around because of the lack of – that's all it was.
Yeah.
Contributions of Islam to American history, nothing. The fact that Marco Polo didn't discover China, but China traveled west long before that was ignored. I mean, it was – and that's where we're going back again to. That's what they want to do. No. They got so upset about 1619 that they never quite recovered from it. Yeah. This is a dangerous moment for him.
Well, that's an understatement. Dangerous moment is an absolute understatement. You heard James Zogby say a moment ago, he likes the infighting because the only way you progress is that somebody's got to throw down on the inside. You've heard me say before that sometimes you got to fight with your friends. Sometimes you have to fight with your friends. Every one of us ought to live our lives by a certain set of immutable principles. And if you're standing on your immutable principles, sometimes you're going to end up in fights with your friends. So I hear James Zogby, and I don't disagree. The infighting may be what this party needs at the moment. It's also, I think, important to underscore, we're talking about Democrats writ large. This is Chuck Schumer, right? The Democrats in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, and Democrats in the House did, in fact, vote against this measure. So I don't want to lump all the Democrats in necessarily at this moment because the Democrats in the House did the right thing. And for the most part, Democrats in the Senate did the right thing. But Chuck Schumer, the leader, is just completely tone deaf on this, no matter how he tries to explain it. And we haven't even gotten yet to Trump just outright defying the courts. There are multiple examples of Trump defying the court system. Now we'll talk about that when we come forward. You can no longer dismiss this as just Trump being Trump. He's now shown us that he will openly defy the judiciary, and that, speaking of dangerous, James Zogby, is a real problem. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know with BIN News. Powerful storms in the South and Midwest have caused over 3 dozen deaths, with most fatalities in Missouri, which has a black population of just over 11%. The severe weather also affected Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Alabama, and Mississippi this weekend. Canadian Ambassador Kirsten Hillman insists the U.S. and Canada remain close allies despite trade disagreements. She expects announcements impacting Trump's planned tariffs on Canada and emphasized productive trade meetings. A federal judge in Boston has ordered a hearing today to address why Dr. Rasha Alawiya was deported to Lebanon despite having a valid visa and a court date blocking her removal. Dr. Alawiya is a medical professor at Brown University. And the college basketball playoffs could lead to $20 billion in lost productivity for the U.S. economy, according to Action Network. 40% of respondents calling in sick to watch games contribute to this loss. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
UCLA and USC are 2 of the 4 number 1 seeds in the NCAA women's basketball tournament. The other 2 number 1 seeds, South Carolina and Texas. First game for UCLA is Friday at Pauley Pavilion against UC San Diego or Southern University. They meet up Wednesday in a play-in game. Southern is one of 2 HBCU schools in the NCAA women's tournament. The other is Norfolk State. First game for USC is Saturday at noon at the Galen Center against North Carolina Greensboro. UCLA also has a team in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. The Bruins, a number 7 seed in the Midwest Regional, play Utah State Thursday night in Lexington, Kentucky. The Lakers snapped their 4-game losing streak Sunday. They beat Phoenix 106-97. The Clippers are 6-1 in their last 7 games after beating Charlotte 123-88, 31 points and 7 assists for James Harden. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
A new day is on the horizon. Behind every great moment in history, there's a woman whose story went untold. This March, KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates the trailblazers who changed our world. From Rosa Parks to Constance Baker Motley, from Katherine Johnson to Kamala Harris, these are the voices that broke barriers, challenged limits, and reshaped America. Join us all month long as we honor the women who dared to dream, fight, and lead. KBLA Talk 1580, amplifying women's stories that inspire generations.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ROCK to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text ROCK to 42424. That's ROCK to 42424.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Stories are power. The Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project is an effort to collect, preserve, and amplify stories of Black land loss. It will form an invaluable resource for scholars, authors, historians, educators, storytellers, policymakers, and change agents who wrestle with issues of restitution, reparations, racial inequality in home ownership, and the racial wealth gap. Through documenting stories of Black land loss, the archive will help demonstrate the magnitude of what Black families have lost and will continue the national dialogue to encourage paths to restitution, rebuilding, and healing. Support the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project by visiting www.blacklandlost.org or by donating at www.blacklandlost.org/donate. Spread the word to inspire awareness, activism, leadership, and change. And join us in making a lasting impact. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. He's a paradigm pioneer and the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Tavis Smiley and James Zogby, who's founder and president of the Arab American Institute, former member of the DNC's executive committee. Before I push on to Donald Trump openly defying the judiciary, one final question about this infighting with Democrats and everybody being mad at Chuck Schumer today. Chuck Schumer is the minority leader. And Maya Angelou once famously said, as we all know, when people show you who they are, believe them. You told a fascinating story about Chuck Schumer moments ago. For those who've just tuned in, James Zogby enlightened us as to who Chuck Schumer really is. He is the minority leader, and he has shown us who he is. It is very possible that Chuck Schumer, again, born of his being an institutionalist, born of a variety of things, could do this again. We see how he's going to play ball with Donald Trump, but at the moment, I don't know that you can switch this guy out. So it's one thing for the rank and file to be upset, but he is the leader, James Zogby.
Mm-hmm. He is the leader, and the problem is that there isn't. Look, if the Democratic Party were a functioning party like parties in Europe, and there were an emergency meeting of the party, and the party laid out a strategy, we actually had a conversation about what to do and where to go and how to respond, that'd be one thing. But we're not. We're not. We've never had a policy discussion in the executive committee of the Democratic Party. We've never said, here's what our strategy ought to be. And so what we're left with is outside groups like Our Revolution or Progressive Democrats or Rainbow Push or Progressive. Groups of that sort are the ones that the mantle has fallen on, or maybe indivisible. But there has to be a convening of these outside groups to challenge the leadership inside, to say, you want to represent us, here's what you got to do. And elections are coming, and we're going to challenge incumbents for those who've done the wrong thing, those who haven't shown courage in this instance. Yeah. And look, a lot of the folks who voted no don't think that they wouldn't have voted yes if they could have gotten away with it. But once they had the 10 votes locked in, then they protected everybody else so they could pretend they were courageous and vote no. I'm sorry, I'm being very frank and very hostile right now. I love it. But I am very upset that we're at this state of affairs right now. And like I said, I understand where Chuck Schumer is coming from, but he needs to understand where the country is going and what Donald Trump is doing, and the fact that we have to have some leadership that is equal to the task of the challenge that Donald Trump is presenting us.
If this is the way that Chuck Schumer is going to play ball with Donald Trump, I don't like it, and it concerns me. But to the point that James Zogby made earlier, the real problem here is not what James thinks or what I think. It is that Democrats are out of touch with their base. They're out of touch with their supporters. They're out of touch with their donors. That's the real problem here, that they're moving and showing up in ways that are not aligned with Democrats, and that's a real problem, Chuck Schumer. I digress on that for now. Let me explain to you very quickly, share with you what this Alien Enemies Act is, and this is the act that Donald Trump is hiding behind with regard to defying openly the judiciary. So in 1798, with the U.S. preparing for what it believed would be war with France, Congress passed a series of laws that increased the federal government's reach. Worried that immigrants could sympathize with the French, the Alien Enemies Act was created to give the president wide powers to imprison and deport non-citizens in a time of war. Underscore that, in a time of war. Now, pay attention to this part. Since then would be 1798. The act, the Alien Enemies Act, has been used just 3 times in times of war. The War of 1812, World War I, and World War II. 3 times. The Alien Enemies Act has been used since 1798, the War of 1812, World War I, World War II. Here comes Donald Trump 2.0, and they dig out this Alien Enemies Act and declare that the judiciary, the federal judiciary, has no jurisdiction, no authority over Donald Trump's conduct of foreign affairs or his power to expel foreign enemies. So Mahmoud Khalil and this professor at Brown University and this plane load of Venezuelans, when a federal judge says you cannot deport these Venezuelans, they did it anyway. And again, in case you just tuned in today, they're not even saying that the plane was in the air when the order came down. No, they're saying you ain't got no authority here. You have no jurisdiction. So we're starting to see these examples pile up, James Zogby, of the Trump administration defying the judiciary. That's, to your point, a dangerous situation for us to find ourselves in. What say you, sir?
Well, look, we have seen this before as far as Arabs are concerned in America. Out there in Los Angeles, you had back in the Reagan era, the LA-8, 7 Palestinians and the Kenyan wife of one who were accused of material support for terrorism because they were selling a magazine that was published by one of the Palestinian groups. Reagan tried it. Courts overruled him. He adhered to what the courts did, and these folks were allowed to remain here, and they were out of prison. They were in prison for quite a while. There was an effort, though, during Reagan to do it, to build detention centers across the country for Arabs in time of war. We weren't in a war. The courts overruled, and the plan died. Clinton did the material support provision. If you provide material support, it was initially an executive order. It became part of the immigration bill in 1995, and that has been used to deport Palestinians. They're the weak link in the civil liberties chain. If they had deported somebody from another country, there might have been blowback. But you're doing a Palestinian professor who's actually a really good guy about whom nothing can be shown. That means he supports terrorism. Same with this woman. Even the tweets that they want to complain about are benign by any stretch of the imagination. And yet they need to come up with a justification, so they go to the enemy, this Alien Enemies Act. And they are not enemies. There's not a time of war, and there's no criminal behavior that can be demonstrated at all. And so, yeah, we're in a fix here, and they're going to be using it more and more and more.
Let me quote from the president's press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. A single judge in a single city cannot direct the movements of an aircraft carrier full of foreign alien terrorists who were physically expelled from U.S. soil. It raises questions why she's talking about an aircraft carrier when these Venezuelans were actually flown, not on an aircraft carrier. But you take her point. That a single judge in a single city cannot direct the movements that this administration makes. That's their take. And so, as James just said, this is about to get worse, far worse, before it gets better. But when the president starts openly defying a judiciary, That's scary. Say nothing of the immunity that the Supreme Court gave him before he got reelected. This is a grim moment. We'll talk more about it with James Zogby when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Generous listening.
Charitable listening.
It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
The revolution will not be televised.
What's up? It is Killer Mike, also known as Michael Render, and I'm encouraging you to listen to more, not less, of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Senator Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stopped, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You've lost so much weight. How'd you do it?
I got medical treatment for weight loss through Zelty and lost 50 pounds. I struggled for the longest time, but Zelty makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelty providers can prescribe FDA-approved weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight, like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others.
I've heard those medications can help you lose weight, but aren't they expensive?
Zelty can help get the medication covered by insurance, so it's as little as $0 a month.
What if you don't have insurance?
No problem. Zelty may be able to help you get other GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% off the price of name brand medications.
I'm ready to start losing weight. How do I get started with Zelty?
Just text.
Text SUNNY to 200-300 to get started today with Zelty and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy and Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text SUNNY to 200-300. That's SUNNY to 200-300. SUNNY to 200-300.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and James Zogby. So it's not just that Donald Trump is defying the judiciary. He's also defying the will of the American people. There's a new poll out today from BBC News that finds that overwhelmingly Americans are rooting for Ukraine, but nearly half think that Donald Trump prefers Russia. And we see this playing out in a variety of ways, James Zogby. We've spent billions and billions of dollars of taxpayer money. This happened, of course, on the Biden watch initially. But we've sent billions of our money to Ukraine. Donald Trump shows up. And again, most Americans, according to this poll, are rooting for Ukraine, but nearly half of us think that Donald Trump prefers Russia. I wonder why that is. What say you, James Zogby?
I say the American people are right.
Yeah.
Got their finger. He's gone overboard to try to be a friend of Putin, and I think it's disgraceful. Look, I was not a fan of the way Joe Biden sort of conducted this war with Ukraine. Mm-hmm. I think that trying to make it into this existential fight for the democracy all over the world, no. The existential fight is happening right now with Donald Trump. But at the same time, you could not let aggression go. We had to do something to defend Ukraine, to support Ukraine. But we needed to find an exit strategy, and we never did. And I think therein lies the problem. Trump's exit strategy is to sell Ukraine down the river. If he's got such a great relationship with Putin, if he's so good at telling people my way or the highway, then use it with Putin.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the thing to do. But he hasn't. What he's told Zelensky that. He's bullied Zelensky, and he's good at bullying. And people cower in the face of the bullying where they need to stand up and say no. I'm very pleased with Canada. I think Canada's handled Trump better than anybody so far. We're just not going to do it, they said.
Yeah. What's the end result going to be of Trump's bullying, whether we're talking Ukraine or the Middle East? What's the end result, James, going to be of his bullying when it comes to our foreign policy?
Look, the question is going to be, will the rest of the world stand up to him?
Mm-hmm.
Will they find the courage to do it? We're not setting a good example here in the U.S. standing up to him, as we just showed in Congress.
Mm-hmm.
But we might, maybe we'll be. I don't have a whole lot of confidence that the EU is going to do it. They just don't. I call them the. Well, I won't say what I. Cowardly. They announce great principles but do nothing to follow up on them. Canada actually has been a surprise with standing firm, and the result is that the Liberal Party, which was on its last legs, actually got the support of the Canadian people because Canada wanted to stand up to Trump.
Yeah.
And I think that we'll find the same in other countries. They just have to find the courage domestically with their own constituents to not allow this bully to run all over them. And the American people have to do it too.
We'll talk about that part when we come forward, what agency we have in this moment. It's one thing to be upset with Chuck Schumer, as many Democrats are today. It's another thing to just scratch your head at Donald Trump absolutely and openly defying court orders. But what agency do the American people have in this moment? How do we respond when we see where we're headed? That for James Zogby when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward?
Because he's not going back.
And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. The Live Your Life organization mentors young women, helping them break negative mindsets and see beyond their surroundings. Through career exposure and hands-on training, they're encouraged to think big, stay focused, and make positive choices. Founded by Nikisha Mama Boo Smith, who transformed her life to become a community leader, Live Your Life is changing lives, but they need your help. They're raising funds to keep their new building open and expand their programs. Your donations will support food, clothes, hygiene products, and holiday giveaways. Visit liveyourlife32.com. That's LIVEYOLIFE32.com to help today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
Got 3 minutes left here with James Zogby, founder and president of the Arab American Institute, former member of the DNC's executive committee, and isn't the Democratic Party in a hot mess right about now. Before I close by asking about what we do, we being the demos, the American people, what we do with our agency in this moment. James, before I get to that question, what's your sense of what happens in the coming days, weeks, and months if Donald Trump continues, as he is right now, openly defying the judiciary?
I think there'll be a flood of deportations, and I do believe that they're going to be targeting Palestinians and supporters of Palestinian rights. I don't know about other groups, but I do know that the Palestinians and those who support them are going to pay a price. But with regard to your question about what do we do, I mean, I've thought about this a lot because it took us generations to build the protections, the rights, the structure, the architecture of a democracy. And it was the 60s, actually, that catapulted us into this period with the anti-war and the civil rights movement that were relentless until Congress made the changes and the president signed them. It took Donald Trump weeks to tear that down. It will take a challenge that we have to face to do what we did in the 60s, to take a lesson from Dr. King and continue the pressure on friend and foe alike to make sure that this architecture is rebuilt. Because once it's down, it's tough to put it back unless you replicate the effort that was made to build it in the first place.
Yeah.
It's not going to come back by itself. Donald Trump can pass from the scene. Congress is not going to have the courage to protect civil rights, to protect civil liberties, to protect job safety, to protect the environment. It's going to take a movement to do it. We got to build that movement now. The party didn't build the civil rights movement and the anti-war movement. The anti-war movement and the civil rights movement built the party. We have to not look to the party to do it, but we have to look to the social movements in our country to build back.
Well, that response is both instructive and informative, and frankly inspiring in a moment like this, where we need to understand what our mission is and how we exercise our agency in this moment. I still am noodling, though, what happens in the days ahead if the courts are defied by Trump and they can't hold him to account. We got a real problem. If judiciary,
we have a constitutional crisis.
That's exactly.
We have a crisis.
I was about to say
we
that.
do.
I was about to say that.
And we'll see what the Supreme Court does. It would be shocking to me, even though we expect the conservatives to be conservatives.
Yeah.
But somebody like a Barrett, somebody like a Gorsuch, these are constitutionalists.
Yeah.
If they allow themselves to get rolled over by this wannabe fascist, they betray the very principles that they say they uphold.
Yep. We shall see. We shall see if the conservatives on the court have a spine, because that's where it's headed. Constitutional crisis if Donald Trump continues to openly defy these courts, as he's doing rather brazenly in this moment. We thank James Zogby, founder and president of the Arab American Institute and former member of the DNC, for offering his insights. James, thank you for your time, sir. All the best to you, my friend.
Thank you for the opportunity, Tavis. Thank you so much.
My great honor.
Bye-bye.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Powerful storms in the South and Midwest have caused over 3 dozen deaths, with most fatalities in Missouri, which has a black population of just over 11%. The severe weather also affected Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Alabama, and